So at this point, just kind of going through a little bit of introduction, the evolution of the start of this project. And so basically, that was kind of the goals there. And so what we're going to have available for September is, for this year, we'll hold on to a copy of the old planning course for anybody who's not quite comfortable into jumping ahead with it. But we're going to encourage people to kind of head in this direction. We'll also have a project-based one, and then we'll also have a separate one, which is the full-blown, full meal deal, which will be the project-based dual credit. So you do have some flexibility on what fits your needs at the local level, and that's what we'll be releasing. We won't be releasing them until we're all nice and cleaned up, so there is a course on the BCLN site where they're working, and they've invited you to go in and take a look at how things are progressing. So they're going to overview it for you today, and you can kind of keep up with what's going on and provide feedback in the discussion area. And we definitely want this to be a community build. And so at that, with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to the real developers here, Corey and Bart.
Where's our PowerPoint? Here's your PowerPoint, but I don't know how to get to the next. Go ahead, you're on.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited actually to be here. We in Kamloops have all the Planning 10 students in our school district are on Planning 10 online. So this is the 7th year that we have done Planning 10 online. And for the first 5 years, and I've been involved with it for probably since CAP in 1993, and then certainly with the Planning 10 in 2004. And then in the last 5 years, I've been involved with Planning 10 online. And the one thing that I noticed in the first 5 years, that everything was really teacher-driven. So that the teachers would design the assignments, and the students would just send the assignments back. There was really no teaching. All we were markers. That's all we were doing was marking, marking, marking. And sometimes we would send back, well, 2 out of 5 is not a really good mark. Have you thought about doing this? Students never, ever came back to correct it. So I started thinking about it, and I started reading some articles. Probably my favorite person would be Terry Anderson. And I started looking at the constructivist theory and also student-centered learning, where, what are the connections for the students to Planning 10? How is it connected to their life? And so last year we created the first student-based, the current grade 10s are doing a student-centered approach to Planning 10. This year, we came up with a course that was not only student-based, but it was also project-based and inquiry. So we set it out, here's a question, here are the resources, here's the project. And the other thing that we decided that we would put into this course was an electronic portfolio. So the electronic portfolio is controlled by the student. They build their portfolio with content. They invite the teachers in by sending them a URL. They invite the teachers to come in and either preview, comment, or mark their electronic portfolio. All the content is directly related to how students perceive, for instance, how do they perceive a safe and caring school? Not, here's a question, do the answer. But actually they need to think about it, they need to reflect on it, and then they turn around and present the material, and then the teacher is able to comment on anything that the students present. So all of a sudden in these last 2 years, there is an exchange where both the teacher and the students are active learners. It's not just, here's the assignment and here's the response, but what do you think? What do you think about this? Have you thought about this? And the students are going, no, I hadn't thought about this. Can you direct me on another resource? So I think we have, in my opinion, and there's still lots to be done with it, I think we have a truly student-centered teacher-student success. And the one thing that I'm continuing to work on is how do you support the students in an online setting? Because I know for sure it's not just student, teacher, or teacher-student, and then go ahead and do it. It has to be student plus the teacher plus support, and that's going to give the students excellent success.
So to just kind of introduce what we've done so far, and it is still in a beginning stages. It's coming along, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And the idea of the course is that we want to use as many tools as the students would like to use. And the idea is that the teacher does not have to be an expert in the tools. Rather than that, the students have to be able to get resources in order to be able to solve the problems that we have. One of the things that I know that everybody is really eager about is the competencies that are required for, in this case, the two courses that we are blending. So what we've done right off the beginning is to identify what the competencies are and then specifically say, this is where this competency is covered. Now, it will be not the only place that that competency is covered, but it will certainly, every one of them will be covered in the final course. So some of the things will be covered several times and in several places. And quite frankly, I haven't gone in and listed them all. But there will be at least one for every one of the competencies for both of the courses. The other thing that we've tried to do is to make it as open and general as possible, because we know that some schools will want to use Mahara. The Kamloops school uses Mahara and uses it very successfully. Some may want to use Weebly for their electronic portfolio, and again, I know that there are some using that and using it very successfully, and others may use something else. So the way I've got it set up right now is that the first one is learning a few tricks in general. That means you decide what you would like to do. Then there's some with specific instructions for Mahara and specific instructions for Weebly. And along the side, we put down as many tools as they might want to use, and then there may be many more that they would want to use. Now, an example of how we're blending the two courses, for example, one of the competencies in the Business Computer Apps 11 is business communication and the use of the business letter. So there's all kinds of information, and this is just a small part of it, on how to write a decent business letter. So they get, the idea here is that they're going to have the skills presented to them and the information presented to them, and then they are going to be given some kind of a project to do that will bring in the ideas from the planning course as well. And this particular assignment is a letter to the editor, which is a business type thing, but it's going to be to do with bullying and the things around bullying. The evaluation is going to be in two parts. One part is going to be the content of the letter, which would be addressing the Planning 10 parts, and the other part, the other competencies, will be under the technical part, which would be the Business Computer Apps part. And throughout, and there are rubrics. I can't see it on the bottom of this page, but there are rubrics for marking all of these, which will be in the course as well. There's also going to be a letter of complaint, and I can't remember what the other one is. Something else that we're going to be putting into the same section. But the idea is that it is to draw cover both the Planning 10 competencies as well as the business computer apps, so that the students, when they learn to write a business letter, don't kind of write a farce letter that they kind of make everything up in it. We're trying to keep it as directed or as blended as possible. And for example, a little bit later on, they do some things with presentations, and then they are instructed to do a presentation on safety-related issues. So that's basically, where we're at. And I follow what Brent has said. Is I really invite you to take a look at it, and any comments positive, negative, neutral, are welcomed. And I think the discussion board on BCLN is really a good place for it, unless you want to be really nasty and then just send that to us privately. But other than that, you know, I think if everybody sees what people would like, then we are more likely to be able to meet kind of the requirements. So that's basically an introduction.